Thanks for joining me on episode 423 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Daryl Lyons, author of 18280. I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Having the right behavior with your money is key to doing that. And one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend, Scott Mader.
And the truth is, the key to persistence is developing the why behind it. And how you're wired helps you determine what kind of whys connect with you. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about investing in others by stewarding your time, I talk with you about why we often set goals but then don't achieve them, why if you constantly get distracted, you need to examine your why, and why with a big enough why, you can achieve your goals. You know, one area that a lot of folks need some help with is around the area of productivity. Getting not just more things done, but actually getting the right things done can be really, really tough. I've got a course called Productivity for Your Passion that's designed to help you do this and then to hold you accountable and walk with you so that you can tailor productivity not just to be getting more done, but actually getting the right things done. What's more, we take the approach of looking at your personality and how you actually look at things in the world and tailor the productivity system to your personality. Because the truth is, a lot of the systems that are out there are written really well for somebody with a particular personality type. But if you have a different approach to things, they just don't work. But there's tools and techniques and approaches that you can take that will work for anyone. And we help you do that in Productivity for Your Passion. Check it out over at inspiredstewardship.com/launch. Often when we're setting goals, when we're looking to start a new business that serves others, when we want to grow something that we're doing, we want to leave our corporate job and strike out on our own. Maybe we have something where we want to start a foundation or have a charity that serves others. It can be a goal like that, or it could even just be a personal goal about, losing weight or getting your money in order or getting better at using your time. Different things for different people at different points in their life. But oftentimes we set these goals, often big, important goals, things that seem like they're really key in our life. And then we struggle with actually keeping them. We struggle with actually following through. We struggle with actually achieving those goals and sort of checking them off the list. And there's all sorts of techniques that you can use. There's all sorts of tricks. You'll talk about making smarter goals like we've talked about in the past. We can talk about the systems that you use and the processes and the habits and the routines. In the productivity course I'm launching, all of those things are touched on, and they're all important. But a lot of times, one of the fundamental steps that we forget is the whole idea of the why behind the goal that we want to set. All too often we set these very audacious goals, things that we want to achieve in life. Maybe it's a bucket list and you've made this list of all of the things that you want to do before you kick the bucket. and then you don't actually act on them. You don't actually do anything to put them in place. You don't actually begin to do the hard work of building the systems and the processes and the habits to achieve them. And you overlook one of the most fundamental steps to achieving your goals, figuring out why they're important to you. It's so easy to bounce around from goal to goal, to get distracted by the next shiny object or the next neat thing that you could do, the next opportunity that pops up in front of your face like a shooting gallery. And you just bounce from thing to thing. You bounce from goal to goal. You bounce from activity to activity, never getting any sort of sustainable effort or success. Looking at this podcast, we're up at episode 423. In over almost now 2 full years, I've missed 1 week of episodes. And I've now added Saturday episodes, and I'm up to posting 6 times a week. How can I have that sort of sustainability? Because the why behind this podcast is about changing people's lives. It's not about just trying to use this to get more clients. Though sure, I'd love people that listen to trust me and grow to know, like, and trust me and come into my ecosystem and realize that there's things that I can do for them and use me in a way that serves them well. Sure, I'd like that. But that's not really the why behind the podcast. The why behind the podcast is bigger than that. It's a dream to change the world where everyone in the world is out there living their calling and being authentic to who they are and what God has designed them to be. And that's a big, hairy, audacious why, and it's scary sometimes. My why is also by doing this podcast and using my own business, I gain more control over my time and I get to spend time with the 2 people that are the most important in my life, my wife and my son. I get to spend time I can travel to my mom's house and visit with her. I can spend time with my goddaughters. I can spend time with their mom. I can spend time with my mother-in-law. I can use my time to pour into the people that I love that are close to me. And of course, I can use my time to serve my clients and grow my business and do other things that really help and improve people's lives. That's the why behind it. And that's why those weeks where, maybe I'm a little bit tired and don't necessarily feel like doing a podcast episode, I can still sit down and crank some out. I can still sit down and produce some because the why behind it is big enough. And that's why with a big enough why, with a why that connects to who you are and how you're wired and is connected down deep into your world and your life, you can achieve your goals. That's why with a big enough why, you can achieve them. Because one of the biggest keys to achieving your goals is simply sustained effort over time. It's persistence. The idea of getting up every day and doing the little things as well as the big things, doing the hard work as well as the fun work, doing the things that you really wish you didn't have to do today until you can get to the point where you don't have to do those because you can hire other people to do them. If that's what your dream is, until you can grow things in such a way that you can sustain it without all of the effort. See, persistence is probably one of the single most important characteristics that differentiates people that persist and continue and actually achieve their goals and people who do not. And the truth is, the key to persistence is developing the why behind it. And how you're wired helps you determine what kind of whys connect with you. That's one of the reasons we spend time when I'm working with you on productivity, figuring out how you're wired. Because it's not just about, hey, do it this way, because this way worked for me. It's about, hey, let's find the way and the why that works for you. And that takes time and effort to unpack and discover. So I encourage you, if you've been distracted from your goals, if you've got a dream that you've never really put in the time and the effort to achieve, but it's still a dream that's important to you, spend some time today and examine your why. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of time, be sure to sign up for our Stewardship of Time Tips series by going to inspiredstewardship.com/time or texting 44222 time tips, and that'll get you our best tips on stewarding your time. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.